Won't bore you with the rehash on this. It's all done, ready for summer. Gonna let that warm up and drop the oil and change it. Screwed it on. Didn't have to go to Harbor Freight after all. Last video I did of this beat tractor, I showed cleaning up the deck and balancing the blades and doing all that and putting the deck back on. But I realized after looking at the video that I didn't do a very good job of that. And I also never showed the oil change. This doesn't need a transmission oil change. It doesn't need the extended service. All it needs is the oil change. Okay, this tractor was bought in June of 2010. I bought it new. 4/9/21. I changed the oil and oil filter, and I changed the air filter. Cleaned the deck and did all that. And at that point in time, it was 660.9 hours. Now, when I did the last service on it, it had 611 hours on it. Now we need to go see if we need to do anything with the transmission. I think I'm good. Let's see what's on it now. 661 hours and a half. All right, at 409 hours, I changed the transmission oil and the filter, and it's got 660 hours on it now. That needs to be changed every 400 hours, so I think probably it'll be next year, because that would only be about 260 hours. So we're good with the transmission, so we're going to change the air filter, and we're going to change the oil filter, and we're going to change the oil. Now, this is one of the problems with this tractor that I am not happy with Kubota about. This lower cowling is plastic, and it's broke here, it's broken here. So what I've been forced to do is come back to here, and at this point I put a self-tapping screw through into the metal underneath, and that's how I hold the cowling on, because these no longer are functional. Everything's broke. This front end shakes a lot as the engine's running, and you can see that's just all broken off. Now, I contacted my dealer and I asked him if I could get a metal cowling to replace this on this tractor. He said, Kubota, with all the new 24 series and all the new 1860 series or the 18 horse series, this here is all metal. But if I want to replace this on my tractor, the only thing that's available is another plastic piece. I'm not going to do that. This is the same thing on this side. I had to drill these, use self-tappers on them. And they work good, they hold it on, but now last year, here, I kind of had a little accident with my woodshed. And I knocked out some of this plastic crap down in here. So I'm going to take this cowling off and I'm going to fix this once and for all. Right now, it's oil change time. To get to the engine compartment and do this correctly, this cowling has to come off. There's a handy dandy little holder right here that you push down and latch like that, so that the hood's only partially up. Now all this is loose back here now, so this cowling slides off the front. Why they would make a plastic piece of junk like that, and you can see how flimsy that thing is. For a lawn and garden tractor, especially one that costs as much as this one did, is beyond me. I have no idea. But while I have this in here for service, this is going to all get fixed. Now we have access to the engine compartment and we can finish the oil change. This is the engine oil drop, 14 millimeter. I have it written in my book. Now I got to go up and pull the cap. The oil filter's right here, so we'll get this off. Now we're going to get down in here and we're going to clean up all this stuff. Right here is where I need to clean. That's where the oil filter goes. While I'm getting my oil filter ready, is I put that rag right there. And again, Kubota stuff comes all packaged. It's nice. I always put a little bit of motor oil on it. And some people say you're supposed to use used motor oil. I never do. I always put clean on. That's all cleaned up. The hours don't matter. I never go over hours on these, so I don't bother. Tighten these up as tight as I can with one hand. And then as I do with all my machines, I go a quarter turn. And that's it. Okay, plugs in. And as I explained with the RTV, this engine also calls for 3.1 quarts of oil. Nah, I put 3 in and never looked back. Bullet drips here. I'll get those off the manifold. Now it has to fill up my filter, but it's a very small filter, so. That is very close to full. Now, we need to fire this up and then recheck the oil. Okay, we'll let that set for a minute and then we'll recheck it. You hear that click? That click, after this machine shuts down, that click is opening the solenoid so it can be restarted. It's got 3.1 quarts in it. Imagine that. Oh, and by the way, I use exclusively Rotella T4 15 weight 40 oil in all my machines. New one. At the line. That's next. It gets really dirty over the course of a year. Last time we visited this and you saw me do all this work, I didn't do a very good job of showing how this deck goes on. There is one thing that I don't do that Kubota designed to make this easier. You can turn these wheels around this way so you can roll it underneath the tractor. You take this slip ring and you can turn these. I don't bother, I just horse it under there and get it done with, but you can do that to all 4 of these wheels if you'd like. Right now we're going to grease this and then we're going to put it on. And I have to check this unit here for gear oil. The way I do this is I just stick my finger down in there, and if I can get a little on the end of my finger, like that, that is fine. Those are really small U-joints and they usually don't take much. Get my oily rag I sopped up all the oil with. Get rid of this grease. All it wants to do is attract grass. Now the last grease job I have to do on this are these idler wheels. And I won't bore you with all of them, I'll show you one. I have this unit here which snaps over the grease gun that has a point. And that's the way I do these. With these little wheels, a lot of times, if you snap the grease gun over them, it'll pull them right out of the wheels. It's a little harder to do it this way, but I put it in till it comes out here. Now I'll do the other 3. Now what you do is this piece right here goes up into this ring here. So you kind of got to get them lined up this way. And I am there, I think. So now we need to start up the machine and let these down and let them click and take hold here. You have to have the machine here on 0. And I've got it on 0. So now we'll start it up and let those down and see if we can get those to lock. That's through. This one's through. It's all the way in here. You can see it's all the way in here too. So now I have to hook up the drive shaft. I like to put the drive shaft on with the deck all the way down. It makes it easier and I can get into it easier. That snaps back and holds itself back. Makes it easier. And on she goes. And you can see this moves forward and locks it. This piece slips up over the deck like that and comes out. This piece slips up into these grooves here like I have them. Then you set this back on the detent like that. And you get a hold of that all the way there. And when you bring it up, it locks this pin through this piece. And that's it. The deck is on and ready for use. I hope that cleared some things up for you, because I just kind of didn't get into it as much the last time. So when I'm mowing, I set this at about 2 3/4, which is right here. But I have to have the machine running to get it to turn. So I'll start it up and show you. You have to have it all the way in the raised position. Then you can set this. I set it at 2 3/4, right there. That's where I mow at. All right, we're done with this. This is something I have to do every year. Because this machine is liquid cooled and it's so slow moving, you can see up in that radiator, it looks like dryer lint. And every year I have to hose it out and clean it to prevent overheating. So that's what I'm doing now. I usually just clean this screen, but when I have the hose out, I do it with the hose, and it works good. Keep the dream alive. Keep the dream alive. That's it. Now the next job is this thing. So we need to get started on that. I patched this years ago where it had broken here, and I glued it and put this on. Got rid of these rivets. I don't know how much I'll need, but they say to mix it in small quantities. Way easier to do this in little increments. Now what I've done here is I've just softened up all this to make sure that there's no sharp edges that I or anybody else will get cut on. Now I'm going to clean it and paint it. You could actually body putty and Bondo this and do all that, but I'm not going to. All right, I got my paint stirred up here. This isn't going to match the original color because the original color is so faded, but trust me, in about a year you won't know the difference. Looks way better than it did with a bunch of holes in it. All right, we're going to let this dry, put it back on the tractor, and run it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.